Okay, so that was it. Just calm yourself and you know, it works. To me, it works because I do this a couple of times. I just read my little dua in my head while I'm doing this, and it just kind of calms my brain down so I can focus. Sometimes there's too much going on in my head, so I have to kind of, this helps me focus. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start off with this. There's only like 4 of us, so 3 of you. So what I was gonna only take 3 volunteers, so you guys are it. So we're gonna start with Zahra, and Zahra, like, you're gonna fill in the blanks, okay? Where there's a line, you're gonna fill in the blanks. So for example, I could say, let me show you the next slide where I am. I could say, I am Fizza Butt, I am from Houston. Oh, why is this doing that? Okay, here we go. I am Fizza Butt, I'm from Houston, Texas. I have 3 children. My best parenting challenge, biggest parenting challenge is that even though my children are like adults, and I'm talking about they're adults, I still feel the need to treat them like children. I'm confident about my ability to believe in my kids' abilities to make good choices. That's the good thing about what I feel. But, you know, my challenge is that I always treat them like kids, you know, because my oldest one just turned 27. So I'm like, okay, he's not a kid. Stop it. But being a mom, you always do that stuff. So you guys are going to fill in these blanks, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what do you know, whatever you want to say. I can take whoever wants to go first, or I can go in order. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I am Shnila Charania. I am from Houston, Texas. I have 3 children, and my biggest parenting challenge is giving each of them individual time. I mean, yeah, they're all in very different parts of their lives. One's a preteen, one's recently a middle child. I have a 12-year-old, 10-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So just managing all of that is my challenge. I'm confident about the fact that maybe something is getting in their head. I talk to them a lot. I like to explain things in detail. Sometimes I repeat myself over and over again. So I'm confident that something is going inside. But at this point, I'm just feeling like not enough of me and more of them. Yeah.
And that's okay for you to feel like that. Thank you, Shannon.
And I have my daughter with me, so
that's okay. This is a parenting talk thing where kids are allowed.
Okay. Well, the older ones are first, but yeah, the baby girl is with me.
That's fine. No problem. Who wants to go next, Zahra or Maliha?
I can go next.
Okay, Zahra.
I'm Zahra. I'm from Houston, Texas. I have one girl 9 years old and one boy 9 girl and 1 8 boy. My biggest challenge is my son is on the spectrum. He had autistic spectrum disorder. So the biggest challenge is how to manage both of them. They are different abilities. Taking care of both of them according to their abilities is a big challenge for me. I'm confident about that I'm doing my best, and I'm seeing some results from both, like from both of them, that they are that I'm giving them a good they are getting a good grades, good behave. They are doing in school, so I'm confident about what I'm giving to them. Result from that.
Okay, that's good. Alhamdulillah, good. All right, Maliha, you're last.
Sure. So I'm Maliha. I'm from Houston, Texas, in Sugar Land. I have two kids, a middle schooler and elementary, so 11 and 8. My biggest parenting challenge really is keeping my calm during when I get frustrated and trying to help them with some schoolwork, especially my older one. I'm confident that I'm able to put them on a good schedule, help them out. I have a good support system around me. My parents are very involved. So I'm confident that my help does help them, but I'd like to overcome the challenge of not getting frustrated when I'm doing schoolwork with them, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're all humans, so I know. Let's see if some of these things can actually help you, Let's see if we can, work it out somehow. All right, so you already heard that. But one thing I learned from my children is how little I really know. I mean, they don't come with a manual that we can, that we can follow and make sure that our kids are doing the exact thing that they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so it's okay. We all try things. We kind of do challenge ourselves into trying different things. And when and every child is not going to be the same. Because one child, it might work with them, the other child, something else works. So you kind of have to be like that. All right, so a little background on me is that I was born in Pakistan, but I grew up in Long Island, New York. I was 10 when I came to the United States. My background is that I was a certified teacher. I've taught in the public school system for about 13 years. And then I went back to school, got my master's, and I still work in the public school system, but now I'm a school counselor. So I do a lot of counseling in the school setting. And then I'm branching out right now. I know people, I'm like thinking, what am I doing? Because I'm not that young anymore, but I am actually working on getting my LPC, which is becoming a licensed professional counselor, which I need a couple of classes and then I'm going to take the test. So yes, and all weekend I've been working on my paper. So if I sound tired, that's it. But those are my backgrounds, okay? So what I want to do is my objective is really to share information and ideas and resources and try to help support you and to show you that we can use positive reinforcements in our children and to help them make good choices and help us as parents make good choices. All right, so the joy of parenting. This is what we thought, right? When we were having kids, the first kid we're about to have, we're thinking, wow, I'm going to have a family. It's all laugh and it's all cuddling. And what we thought about having kids, this is what we thought it would look like, right? Or am I the only one? Well, we should have thought about the challenges of parenting too, because we did not imagine that life would be sometimes a lot like this, where the kids are fighting, you're trying to calm them, and you're so frustrated. I had a class full of kids that I had to deal with this. So, I know exactly how you feel. And then I'm a mom too. So that hopefully, well, it does still happen sometimes because they're older, but they still have these arguments. All right. So why do children misbehave? There's a child psychologist, and he was also an educator. So I really trust him. He believes that children misbehave in order to gain either attention. They want to control the situation, so they want the power to be able to do the things they want to do. It's because they're mad at you about something and they want revenge. Now, when you think of revenge, I don't like that word that much, but that was the best way I could explain it. Revenge is not like they want to come and kill you or hurt you, but they want to do something that will upset you, okay? Or they might show like, they're helpless. They can't do anything, show feelings of like they're inadequate. Mom, help me. I can't do this, maybe get your sympathy. So these are the 4 things they want to gain from their parent when they're misbehaving. So if you're annoyed, then your child is going to try to get your attention. You're annoyed, they're gonna do things to get your attention. If you are like intimidating, why did you do that? You know, I can't believe it. You know, you're intimidating them. You're kind of scaring them into thinking, why would you do something like this? Then they're like, no, I want to control this situation because I don't want to feel this way. If the parent acts like, oh, that's so sad, I'm so sad, and they see that you're hurt, then they're like, you know what? I'm gonna do something that will be something that will get them to not feel this way. And it'll be a revenge kind of a thing. Revenge, don't think of it in a negative sense. It's more like, I'm gonna do something to get a reaction out of them. If the parents act incapable, like I can't do this, the child is gonna be like, okay, they can't do it, I'm gonna act like that too, because I'm learning from my mom that I can do this and I'll get attention. All right, so I believe that children act out and misbehave, not because they or their parents are bad, but because they're either attempting to communicate a need or are demonstrating a learned behavior taught to them by the world that surrounds and guides them. This is a quote from this book, Love, Limits, and Lessons. So what it's really saying is whatever is the environment we're in is what's shaping the way we behave. Which, if you think about yourselves, the way you were raised has a lot to do with the way that you do things, right? The foods we eat, the how we talk to people, the mannerism. You know, a lot of the times I hear this from other people. Oh, you and your sister, you know, I can tell you're sisters, not because we look alike maybe, but because just the way we talk and our mannerism, right? And recently my daughter was in school with me, and she was actually doing some volunteer work at my school, and the principal's like, when I see her, I see you because I see the same mannerism. So it's not like it's because she was raised in a house with me and I raised her, so there's, she's going to act like me. So that's what it's pretty much saying. What would you do? Now, this is where you guys get to chime in. What would you do? Think about it. Your child hit another child at school when the other child refused to share their toy. What would you do? One of you can share and the others can keep it in their mind, but something that I want you to think about, because there's going to be different scenarios. You can self-reflect about this, but think about it. What do you think? Anybody want to share?
I would tell my child that I'm sorry he got hit, but it's the other child's, it's his toy. So he has the option of either sharing or not sharing. And then if he has a toy, he's been taught to share. So it would be nice if he would share. He doesn't have to act the same way and not share the toy with the same child, but you have to respect his decision that he did not want to share.
Okay. That makes sense.
Oh, my child hit another. I'm sorry, my child hit another child. I would say that's wrong. I thought the other child hit my child and he didn't share the toy. I'm sorry, my eyesight is a little blurry right now.
That's okay. Okay, I'll read it to you. When your child hit another child at school, so your child is the one that's hitting the other child at school, because the other child.
I would say that was unacceptable. Because the child it's his toy and he can share if he wants to.
Yeah.
But
you're right. You were on the right track.
Yeah, but I thought that he's the one who got hit. That that you don't feel. It's sad that he was taught to hit, but no, he should never hit anybody, especially if he was refused the toy. That was the other child's, but I would still teach him to share his toy, because that's what he would have liked in that moment.
Right. Okay. Anybody has a different way of dealing with it. Now, there's no right answer, guys, unless you're going to say, I'm glad my kid did that. Now, that would be a wrong answer, but there's really nothing wrong with the way people do parenting. We're just going to see what is the best way. We're not here to. Go ahead, Maliha.
I think I'd go into just knowing myself. I'd try to analyze and understand where it's coming from in my child. If he were to hit somebody for a toy, I'd want to know why, like what's missing, like what caused that kind of reaction. Honestly, I would go into this deep analysis of trying to figure out, like, did I not provide something? Did I deprive him or her of something that they felt like they really needed? That why are they acting out? As a mom, I go into this deep analysis on what happened with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Okay. We can go to the next one. That's one scenario. Now it made you just think about it. Okay, this, you guys talk. Now this is another scenario. Your child argues when it's time to clean up, and you know this happens in every house. Even in this house, my kids, I mean, honestly, my oldest one is 27, then 22 and 28. I'm telling you, it's not the toys that clean up time. It's just clean up in general. When I say something, it's like, okay, but I have this to do and I have this to do. So what do you do? Your child is arguing with you when it's time to clean up. And these are simple things. Anybody can
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, for me, my kids, I teach them that we have to clean up all the time, and I do that. I don't get lots of arguing during the cleaning because we will do it together. Okay, it's time to clean up. Let's do it together, and we will do it. And it had to be done before moving to the next thing to do. We used to have it before, but now when start like doing it together, it's become, my kids are young, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
With
you
this
can
thing,
do that when
if
they're
we do it
really,
together,
really young.
it's becoming a rule. Yeah, it's becoming a rule
Right,
now
right.
that we have to clean up before moving to the next step. Yeah. So I don't know. Is it?
Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, you're just thinking, this is how you're thinking about what you think you should, what you normally do. And then we go and self-assess ourselves later on when we discuss what are other ways that we can do this, okay? Maliha, did you want to say something too?
Yeah, no, I think chores are important. They're an important part of learning responsibility. So I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's where I draw a line. Like, yep, if that's the chore, you have to do it. You have to develop clean habits of cleaning up after yourself. It's definitely an argument. It's definitely do this. Sometimes I'll jump in and start helping, sometimes not, but we haven't figured this out. It's a constant struggle.
Yeah, it is. And
Welcome
it's
to
nothing,
So
something, go ahead, Shanila.
yeah.
yeah, so I completely agree that it's important to clean. It's important to clean up after yourself, and chores are important. For me, it's like, okay, getting off the table, making sure you take care of your things. Ask someone like in the house if grandmother needs help to clean or I need help to clean and things like that. But when it comes to like their school books, I tell them to be organized and this and that. But sometimes I just kind of like let them be responsible. I tell them, okay, I'm going to check on you guys on the weekend and I need this, your desks to be cleaner or this and that. I'm trying not to pick on them too much these days when it comes to them. Like, I think my 12-year-old is he's already like a preteen. So he's already has a lot of other things I like to talk to him about, or I basically like pick my battles. And for some reason at this point is this season of life, I'm kind of not as on cleaning. Like I pick on being, talked to with respect and making sure that you're doing X, Y, and Z more.
Yeah.
So otherwise I just feel like I'm constantly on them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on each parent. We're individual. So we each have our things that are more important to us than other things.
Yeah.
And like I said before, it has a lot to do with how we grew up. Like for me, it's like my mother was so like OCD clean that it's in me. Like if my house is not clean, it's emotionally, mentally a strain on me. So, and I try to tell my kids, and I'm, and it starts really young because you're trying to train them, okay, do this, but everybody has their personality. None of my kids are going to be exactly the way I want them to be. They're going to have their
Yeah.
own personality. So that's where, like, even you three just talking now, one is like, you know, like Maliha's like, you know what? No, they have to do it because this is what they're supposed to be doing. That's expected. You're like, well, that's not the most important thing to me. It's something else. And Zara's like,
Yeah.
well, I just help them because I want them to learn, and I'm going to show them by doing it with them. So all
Yeah.
of you are doing it in a way, and it is fine. It's fine. It's just that, you know, you have to know where you draw the line and where the next person, you know, the other person is drawing the line. There's no right way to do this.
I
So
would
your
definitely say
child-
this. Yeah, that
Go
I
ahead.
have, I think as the kids have become older. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I've just become a little bit more and like I said, I don't wanna be constantly okay, I'm gonna mute myself so my daughter's sorry.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay,
I'm
that's
just
okay.
trying to, I guess, figure it out and see if I'm not constantly picking on them. I kind of want to not be the person who's like, when they look at me, they're like, okay, here goes mom telling me what to do now or what I'm not doing right. So that's what I feel like it's become these days, where I'm just like my older one said to me, Mom, you're always telling me, or you know, as soon as I wake up, you're like, you didn't do this or you didn't do this. And I'm just trying to become better at acknowledging what they're doing good and realizing everything doesn't have to be done on my timeline, but it has to be done basically. So that's why it's taking a little bit of a backseat and not everyday battle.
All right. So here is the last thing I want you to think about. And you know, I try to pick the things that were pretty common that happens to all of us. Your child starts talking to you while you're on the phone. You know they do that. Every single mother has had this happen, where you get on the phone and the kid thinks, oh, it's time for me to talk. How do you stop this? What do you do? These are just very easy things that I don't want you to think about the big, enormous things yet. I'm just trying to I want you to try to understand your style of parenting right now.
I'm suffering from this actually, because even now when I'm listening to the lecture, every few minutes somebody will come and interrupt the lecture. They need something. I'm just trying to, sometimes I just I say, okay, to the person, I thought, can you give me, mommy is on the phone, just give me some time, give me a few minutes, let me finish. So kind of, sometimes it works, sometimes it's not, but it's one of my struggles actually.
Yeah. All right, just something for
I
you guys.
postpone everything to the time they are not in home.
Since
School.
we talked about like different scenarios, right? Now I want you to think about this. Now there's three different types of parent styles that I want to talk about. There's the authoritarian style, okay? When you expect your children to just follow the rules, there's no if, buts, and ands. It's my way or the highway. You're gonna do this and that's it. Okay, that's like the authoritarian. So these kind of parents, what happens is the effects on children is a little like they're angry because they don't really get to do anything they want. It's always what mom or dad said we are going to do. They don't really learn to think for themselves because they are just always told how they're supposed to do things. And they become overly dependent on people. They're overly dependent on you to tell them always, okay, what should I do now? And like, even when they're older, what career should I pick? What should I do? How do I take care of this? And so you're really raising a child who's going to be really, really dependent on you. So that is an authoritarian parent. Now, the permissive parent is the one that enforces discipline, but they're not consistent. So today you're really hard on them because they did not clean their room. Tomorrow, you're gonna be like, I'm not even gonna think about this. I don't have time for this today. So they make a mess and they see this. You are just like, I can't deal with this, but they see this. So you're not consistent about the rules. You know, you have to have certain expectations for your children. And of course, they have to be realistic. You can't give them like the authoritarian parents, give them something really that you got to do this because you got to do this. You have to do it. You have to give them rules that you can actually follow through. So if you can't follow through it, please don't put that as a rule for your house. that your children have to do this. Adults, young, I'm talking about teens, young, elementary or middle school, doesn't matter. Children, those kind of children, if you are not consistent, they never learn how to keep themselves, like make their own judgments, and they don't know how to keep themselves secure and healthy because they don't know what really is expected. So they never know how one day it's going to be like this and the other day it's going to be like this. The last one is the one, it's like, I'm sorry, that one. So this one is like Islam to me. You provide your children with some freedom, but you also expect them to know their limitations and boundaries. Just like in Islam, moderation is the key, right? You can't be too strict. You can't be too, do whatever you want. You got to be in the middle. So when you do that, they know, okay, these are the rules. I'm supposed to follow them, but you make your choices. In school, this is how we do this. We have, as a counselor or a teacher, you have multiple children with multiple personalities in the same room. So you know what? The rules are given. And then sometimes I have children who are not going to follow the rules. They're not going to do what you're asking them to do. So what do? Always give them a choice. Now, it doesn't have to be like a whole 5 million choices. You just give them 2. Okay, you can, I would say, okay, you can either sit on your seat or I will pick where you're going to sit. You can pick this seat or I will pick somewhere else for you to sit. So you pick what you want to do. So they're given 2 choices. If you tell them just go sit on your seat and that's it. No, some of them are going to rebel because they're not used to that. Okay. So when you give them choices, it's always good to give them 2 choices or something so they are able to make a choice and they feel ownership. They feel like, oh, I picked that, so I'm going to do that. All right. I'm going to try to make this a little smaller because I can't even see this part. All right. Hold on, let me move you guys over a little bit. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. Think about this, guys. Where do you see yourself? Which one do you see yourself as? Maliha, what do you think?
I would say authoritative because I do, there are certain things like just going back to the chores conversation, that was a tip their teacher gave me, for example, that, okay, we see that, they may not finish up work on time, on due time. So make sure, you have chores at home. That's how kids learn responsibility. So kind of taking that as an example, so there is, okay, there's a reward system. Okay, they may get, if they just don't never do them 2 or 3 weeks in a row, then we'll sit and have a talk with them or not give them a reward at that time. So learning, not perfect at it, but I wouldn't put myself in the top 2 boxes. Learning the third style for sure.
Yeah, no, that is what it is. You kind of have to say, this is like you think about it, you're like, you don't even have to share what kind of parent you are. You just think about it and you look at it and you say, I don't know. I think I might fall into that category. So I see myself like, maybe I went from authoritarian and then I was like, no, this is what you're going to do. No, then you kind of like change. You might say, I was like this, but you know what? That might not be the best thing for me to do. So you change. This is just self-reflection for you. I'm not pointing fingers and you're not in trouble for picking any one of these choices, but these are the consequences. This is the effect that has on children. Now, are these 100%? No, but because there are 2 parents, right? Mostly there are 2 parents. Sometimes there aren't. So one parent has a lot of leeway on the way the kids are behaving. But if you have 2 parents, then the other parent kind of like neutralizes some of the things that are happening. So it really, really depends. Okay, so the best thing, like what I said, the best thing to do is to recognize what is not working and change it. One definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you're doing the same thing, if you know you're going to bang your head and bang your head and bang your head, expect that it's not going to hurt next time. It's going to hurt because you're banging your head against the wall. So if you want different results, do not do the same thing. And that was said by a very smart man, Albert Einstein. All right, so the types of behavior that we all, I mentioned before too, are attention seeking behavior. Then you have the power struggle, you have the revenge, and you have the inadequacy, okay? What should you do if your child behaves this way? What should we do? All right, here's the attention one, all right? A child who seeks attention should not receive it when he acts out. To give attention to the child for inappropriate behavior would be playing into the child's plan and would not help the child learn how to behave productively. So when you give them exactly what they want, which is if they're behaving badly and you give them exactly what they want, then you're doing exactly what they want you to do. They want that attention and you gave it to them. And it doesn't matter to them whether if they're acting up or they're acting nice or not. They're still, you are, okay. All right, there we go. So first, when attention seeking behavior is kids trying to get attention, they're going to do whatever they can just to see your reaction because they want you to pay attention to them. And that could be a good thing or good act, or it could be a bad act. So it's really up to the child, how they want to behave. What do you do when your child is trying to get your attention and they're doing something negative, okay? You try to ignore it because the more you acknowledge the bad behavior, then they get this, oh, mom, she looked at me and she paid attention to me when I did this. I'm going to keep doing that. And that child really needs your attention. So you don't want to give it when they're doing something negative or something that is not appropriate. You want to give them time as like a one-on-one time daily. They want you, you're their parent. That's just a natural thing for a child to want. So just set aside, you don't have to do like 5 hours. You can have like 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, whatever you can give. If you have 3 kids, let's give them each of 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes is not a lot of time. We can spend more time on our phone and not know. So 20 minutes where there has to be where you're looking at them, they're looking at you, they're not on a device, you're not on a device. You're talking, you're interacting, you can play games, you can talk to them, you can ask them, what's going on, anything. How was your day at school? Tell me what's going on. But I know this can happen in the car too, but there are other kids. So this is just their time where you're only paying attention to that child. Okay, so they need that just like we need attention when we want it, they want it too. Encourage the positive behavior. This gives the child the attention and encourages that they're gonna do the more positive. Now, if your child, let's say, if my daughter puts away the dishes, washes the dishes without me even saying anything, well, and she's doing, and I should say, you know what, thank you, you did that. And it might be just because she wanted my attention, but that's a positive act. She did something positive, and I should acknowledge that, because this encourages future positive behavior. Now, when your child comes and they kick over, I don't know, a vase or something that, and a table or whatever, or throws the cushions on the floor because they know you don't like it, don't acknowledge that too much. Ignore them. And they'll try for a little bit. Trust me, they'll stop, because once they don't get that, you don't feed into that behavior, they will stop. Next, the other one is the power struggle. That's the one that they want power and you want, they're like, they want to take it away from you. For those kids who learn that defiance helps them get their way, you'll see their urge to become defiant grow stronger, because they know that if I say, no, I'm not going to do this and all of that, and they get their way, and you're like, and I've seen this a lot, and it's sad because I've seen this a lot where kid gets in your face and says, no, I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to do this my way. Parents are like, you know what, go ahead and do whatever you want. And that is not the message you want to give them. you want them to know, no, that's not the right thing to do. If it's something like, imagine if your kid wants to go and run in the street with cars coming, would you let them do it? No, none of us. We don't want our kids hurt. So think of it like you're the parent, so you have to be the parent. It doesn't mean that you are, like I said before, my way or the highway. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that you have to be recognized as the parent. They are your child. We're not talking about, slapping them down or hitting them or anything if they don't do what what you want them to do. There are ways we can talk to our kids that will help calm them down and understand that they're not supposed to be doing this. So that's what I'm talking about. Learn that defiance helps them get their way. And once they learn that, they will. And as they get older, it is harder and harder. The teenage kids who are doing that, partly it's because they are growing and it's the hormones and all of that. But that's not an excuse to be rude and do things that might hurt them.
So I'm struggling with that a lot right now, by the way.
Okay.
The power struggle. I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk about things and get.
No, go ahead. No, you can talk. Go ahead.
So, like I mentioned, my older one, it's a lot of conversations, and he asks for permission to do things or that things, like go to the mall with his friends, and he wants to be just dropped there, and I'm saying no, but X, Y, and Z, who are other, I know, but they're all Muslim kids and they're this kids. I said, but this is not okay. I'm not comfortable with that. I'll come along with you otherwise. But no, that's going to look bad, or going, like a simple thing. They were supposed to go for ice skating. And I said, whose parent is going to be there? If you're going to their house, are their parents who are taking you, will they be there? I think they're just going to drop us there. So I said no to that. Then I'll be there. It's just like it takes time for me to explain, and then he's unhappy but those are our rules, and I'm not comfortable for him to be going alone yet. So,
Sheila, what you're doing, I feel like you're fine. This is your expectation as a parent to tell him that no, I don't feel. There's a lot of reasons. You explain the reasons to him, right? What's the reason behind why you're not letting him go?
I do. And then, it's like, oh, but I'm their age too. I'm responsible. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Like other kids from the neighborhood can bike to X, Y, and Z place, and I'm not comfortable with him going alone. Right. And I just seem like someone who's like not on the same level as the other parents his age. And I don't know why I'm not comfortable, but I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with just leaving them at the mall alone, unsupervised. I'm not okay with them just going ice skating unsupervised. It's just a lot of changes I feel. And I feel like if I say yes now, it's just going to be a lot of other things that are going to follow that. So
I feel like, okay, if you feel like this is not something you want him to do, then that's fine. And you know what? That's part of the thing about being a parent. I mean, I think you're pretty strong in the sense that this is like, you don't want your child to be in certain situations and you're putting your foot down. No, this is not where we're going to compromise. This is what my expectation is. You're too young to go. And about kids will always say, well, their parents, I'm not their parent. Their parents get to help decide what happens with their child. You are my child, and these are our rules in our house. So we have to follow these.
And that's exactly, weirdly enough, is what I said. This is our rules. But I just feel like I don't want to come off so controlling to him. I'm trying to explain things to him a lot. So I'm not sure, like at the same time, I feel like subconsciously or a result of that, I'm making him feel like those other parents for letting him do are not as, involved or caring, or, I don't know. he
I
can't
don't
see.
think he sees, I don't think it comes off like, oh, their parents are so cool, they're letting them do this.
I
This is
think
how the kids are seeing
off
it.
to him. Their parents are letting him do it. Mom, these are Muslim kids, you know, they're not even this. They eat halal and zabia and they're allowed. And, you know, and I'm just like, and I'm mocking him at this point so bad. But I just feel like I had this conversation with him prior to this.
But I mean, Shanila, you're gonna have to have these conversations for him for a while.
Yeah, that's what
You probably have a plan in your head that you know when you're gonna let him do certain things, and you can let him know that, hey, I feel like you're too young right now. So what I feel like is that you are gonna, when you're a certain, when I see this happening, or maybe you have this age number that you feel like, okay, he's mature enough now, I can let him go. So let him know that when this happens is when I will start letting you do certain things. But at this point, I don't feel like it, and don't feel like a bad guy. I feel like you're feeling guilty about it. Please know, because you're being a parent and that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
you're supposed to protect your child.
with the whole past year of COVID and them not having being able to go out and him experiencing that. And now all of a sudden school has started and he's made all these other friends and I don't know their parents. And there's a lot of uncomfortable feelings because now who are these people that he's hanging out, even though if they're Muslim? Who are their parents? Because the way I grew up, my parents knew all my friends and their parents. And when I said right now, okay, I'll come to this person's house if we want to go to their house to hang out, but I need to know their parent. I'm gonna come inside to say salam. You know, I need to know who they are.
Yeah.
And,
And you're doing the right thing. You're doing,
at first he was very hesitant, but then he said, fine, you can come in, but either you or dad, both of you don't come in together. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's just trying to navigate this age is a little.
Yes, it is.
So,
it is.
Like prior to like the conversation about cleaning, I'm always.
I think you are doing right. At any age, we have to do this. Like, it's not because they are almost teens. No, even when they are young, we have to see where they are going, to whom they are talking. Yani, I do that since now. When they are pre-K.
I feel like when they're younger, it's expected, right? So there's never an argument. There's never it's not a conversation. It's understood. But now it's just a little struggle, like you said, that power
but he's at that age where he will, but you know, you've got a couple more years to go before it'll get to the point where he'll be like comfortable. He'll get used to this, because if you know, you have to let them know why you're doing that and what are your reasons behind it. He's at an age where he will hear you and he'll know what you're talking about. He might not respond to it because he's not going to let you know what you're saying makes sense, because that's his age. But he will understand why you're doing it, because you do have to explain why we're doing it. We did the same thing. Between my siblings, like all of like my siblings, we all grew up here. So out of those, I'm like the most strict mom. You know, my sisters will say, "Oh, we're going to go there. The kids are going there," and I'm like, "No, that's not a good place for them to be." You know, so yeah. I wouldn't let my kids go, and my kids finally, like, I knew they didn't like it, but they would, like, eventually it got to the point where they didn't even say anything, because they were like, okay, so we're not even gonna go there. I know why we're not going there. Like, I didn't want my son to go see, like, you know, baseball games, because I'm like, there's beer there, there's this there, and you know, all of this environment and everything, and I don't want him to be exposed to that yet. He was like 12. So later on, you know, as he got older, he understood that, okay, we're not supposed to be doing that, we're not supposed to be doing that on it. So it's that was just the way I parented, you know, and that is your way of parenting. And one rule I would say for everybody, whatever, please always make sure when your kid goes somewhere, you know where they're going and who they're going with, and the parent. Yeah. I mean, that is so important for us to know who our kids are associating with, because that has, you know, we are identified the company we keep, and we pick up things from our friends. They influence us a lot.
Yeah, I think like that's what's happened since school has been in person. There's been an influx of new people and friends, and I'm just trying to keep up with the new people that he has, and I guess trying to make sure the rules are communicated and the expectations are communicated, the big question is when it comes to that is like trust. What do
Yeah.
you say to a child when they're asking, do you not trust me, mom?
Well, say I don't think it's your child you don't trust. It's like you have to tell them, I don't know the other people. I don't know your friends.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm worried about. It's not you. I feel like I've raised you. I'm raising you in a way where I know you will try to make the best decisions, but when you're with your friends, then you know, I don't know them. I don't know what kind of things they do. So
Got it. Thank you.
you're welcome, no problem. Okay, so this one we already did. So next one was revenge, right? When a child who seeks revenge is really hoping is to find love. Their vengeful behavior is showing us that they feel so bad about themselves and so misunderstood that they are resorting to wanting others to feel what they feel. So they start doing things that is, they're angry about something, so they want other people to feel angry too, because that's how they do it. Okay, so what do you do? What do you will do when a child, revenge is more like going, just acting out. I should just change that revenge. I don't like that word that much. You guys probably sense that. I'm going to change it, but I didn't want to change the guy who, you know, the psychologist's words. So revenge means like you got to remove the audience. If they have nobody to do it for, they will not do it. It's like ignoring the attention-seeking child. You like move people, like if they're kicking things and doing things, okay, guess what? We're moving everybody to the other side. We're going to go do something else because we're not even seeing you. Logical consequences for misbehavior. You know, they should know that what are the consequences for whatever they're doing. You have to be compassionate, which is so difficult to do when your child is acting out. You just want to go and, you know what, go to your room and I just want to just, you know, but we have to deal with great deal of compassion. You know, as a teacher, this has taught, like being a teacher has made me so patient because I can't put my hands on anybody. I cannot do that. So you have to be so creative about how you're going to fix an issue with misbehavior. So compassion always works. Sometimes I'm so frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to talk to this child because you were just going around kicking everybody in the classroom. But you know what? If I go to this child, and I've seen this work so many times, and I just go there, hey, what's going on? Come on, let's go take a walk. Or I mean, as a counselor, this is what I do. Come on, let's go talk, and we'll go and we'll walk and we'll discuss things, and then they'll calm down and they'll tell you why they did what they did. So compassion is very important. Okay, and it's going to be hard, but you can do it. When the struggle to resolve is help nurture a better opinion. So when they resolve, like when I take this child for a walk and when I'm talking to my child, when they're mad after it's done, they're over it, then we talk. That will help them when they resolve the situation, when they say, this is why I did that, that makes them feel better about themselves. Okay, I won't be doing this again because of this reason. Next time I want to act out, I need to do this. You can tell them, I mean, this is, most of us can say this to our kids. I really love you and I'm not raising you to be like this. So that's why I'm going to ask you, go to your room and think about it. And, you know, until you can treat us better, like go sit in your room and think about it. I always tell my kids, I'm like, go and think about what you just did and then come back and then we'll talk. And in the classroom or in my counseling, while I'm doing it, I will say, you know what? You really have to think before you act. So little things like when I talk to elementary kids, this is what I tell them. I said, if you're thinking about doing something, always in your mind, think, would I like it if somebody else did it to me? If your answer is no, then don't do it. If your answer is yes, then go ahead and do it. Because if you're about to kick somebody and you don't think it's okay if somebody kicked you, they're going to say no, right? So though that's one thing that, you know, we do. And the last one we're going to look at is inadequacy, which is like when a child doesn't have a lot of self-confidence, they don't feel like they can do a lot. Okay. And a lot of our kids do have that issue because kids will go through that. And if for example, if they don't do what their friends are doing, like Shanila was just saying, her son wants to go out and do things with his friends. He's going to feel inadequate if he doesn't do it because he's going to feel like, why can't I do it? Why can't I do this? And they can. So you take there, you talk to them, and it can go either way. You can talk to them and explain to them, this is the reason why we do this. So you can, take care of your, we have rules, and I want you to be safe, and I have to know who you're going with and all of that. Then they'll understand, So you recognize and you appreciate all and any success. So if a child has low self-esteem, a child who doesn't believe in themselves, you always recognize their success. You always say, even if it's a tiny little thing, like, oh, look, for a baby, like little 7, 8-year-old, oh, you can tie your shoes. Wow. You got dressed today. Wow. 12-year-olds, hey, that you did awesome on you. I like the way you cleaned your room today. That's an awesome job. Your desk looks so much better. Even if one thing was moved and looks a little organized, say it, because you want them to feel like they're doing something. Be encouraging and show faith in your child. Like, always have faith that they will do better. You're raising them. They're getting everything from you. So if you're a good person, your child will turn out to be a good person, inshallah. You just have to teach them.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. So what would be some signs of a child feeling inadequate? Like, how do you gauge, like, if a child is feeling inadequate?
You'll see the way that they behave is a very big indication. Like, if they don't want to try new things, they don't want to try things that are, always like, things, they don't want to try things because they feel like they won't be good at it. Let's say,
Okay.
Yeah, or just not taking compliments that well. That's another indication. Like, if somebody says, hey, such a good job, no, I could do this better, I don't think it's that good. Oh, you look so pretty today, I'm not that pretty, it's okay, like, they don't feel like they're good enough.
Okay.
So any negativity about themselves, you can say, you know what, I tell my kids all, it's okay, nobody's perfect. You don't focus on the things that are materialistic and all of that. Focus on the inside. You have to focus on things that make you a good person, acts that you do. That is what should define a person, not what you look like. But sadly, we live in a society that does, make a big deal about the way you look, right? So you have to, especially in these days, I think a lot of kids, because of this, they go into anxiety, they're getting depressed and all of that. So try to make sure that your kid has that confidence, that they feel good, that, yeah, we're not all going to do everything right. We're all not going to be good at everything, but every person is good at something.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Give tasks that that they can achieve. Give them things that they're good at, just to make them feel good, because if they're little, they're not going to be able to do a lot of stuff. But if they're older, they can still do stuff. They can't do everything we can, right? Show them that making mistakes is okay. And this is how you tell them it's okay to make mistakes, is because when you make a mistake, don't hide it. If we make a mistake, we should say, oh man, I made a mistake. I did this wrong. Sorry. You know what? But then all humans make a mistake. That's okay. Build confidence and bring focus on their success. Try to focus. It's basically saying the same thing that I just said. Everything. Just try to focus on the positive things and not on the negative things, and build their self-esteem. And put them in things that they're good at. Things they enjoy. Let them do things they enjoy and they see themselves succeeding in. It's very important for our kids to feel like they are adequate. They are able to do it. When I was little and growing up in America, I hardly spoke in high school. Like, my teachers would be like, she doesn't talk. And at home, you couldn't shut me up. So my mom was like, why is that happening? Because I didn't feel confident enough to say anything. I always felt like English is not my, even though I came here when I was 10, but I always felt like I didn't know English that as well as the other kids did. I couldn't do the things they could do. I couldn't do this. So public school, I went to public school too. My own children, they went to Islamic school, but my time didn't have Islamic school. So I went to a public school. So I had that feeling. And I had to work hard to get over all of that. Okay, I think that was my last one because I was not, yeah. We were doing questions and comments throughout the thing. The second part of this is I didn't want to do the whole thing. I didn't want to talk at you. I wanted you to participate because I hate being just talking. So that was any questions or comments. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So all of you guys, if you want to say something. Any comments before we go? We're gonna have the other our next parent talk probably will be in about 5 to 6 weeks, and they'll probably put the link up again. And you
I
guys
have
can
a
join.
question.
Sure.
So, when it comes to their schooling or their, education, if you know their child knows this subject, for example, but they're just not focused on it, they're not trying, and you can see it. How do you manage that without, I guess, getting upset? And like, how do you tell them, I know you're not trying your best because you're either distracted by other things, or how do you do it in a positive manner without making them feel bad, making them feel dumb, for example? Or like, I know
Yep.
that
I have the same question. Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little
Thank
child,
you.
he knows this stuff, right? He just doesn't put his attention. He's so smart, but I feel like he never gives it his all. He's always looking for approval. I feel like he's the, like, the inadequacy part. But and even my older one at this point, it's I think COVID and doing virtual schooling has a lot to do with it. But how do you encourage them, but then again, don't encourage them to settle for mediocrity? But
Your expectations. I mean, since they were little, Shanila, were you like always like, okay, I always said this to my kids. I said, I understand we're supposed to do our best, but if it's so easy for you, then you're not doing your best. You need to do a little bit more step because if 80 is easy for you to get, just an example, if you can get an 80 easily in a math class, let's say, that's not your best. To me, that's like you just did whatever you could. So you got to do a little bit, push it up and get it to a 90. You got to work hard. So it's the ethics we're building in our kids.
So that's what
Go ahead.
I'm like, that's exactly what the culture of the house is. It's basically, I need to see you give it your best. And also in the past when they were younger, it's like, okay, no, I don't understand it, or mom, I did bad in this, and they would feel bad. And I said, well, there's nothing that you cannot get better at if you don't practice it. It's what you want and how bad you want it. Basically, I haven't seen you practice X, Y, and Z more. This was when they were younger, mind you. And I use the same words now. We just got to practice and get better. It's okay if you did that, but I need to see you put in the effort or the time to get better at it. If you're not good at, for example, if you're saying you're not good at math, let's find other math problems for you to work. Let's make sure you understand the concept. If it's ELA, okay, let's do some more reading comprehensions. Let's focus on this or that. But I feel like I think the drive has gone down. I'm not sure.
It's because they're getting older and they're getting more interest. When the little kids, they have different, like you let them play outside and we're good to go. That was their outlet. Now it's getting more sophisticated for them to, it's getting the interests are different now. They crave that. I want to go outside with my friends. I want to do this and I don't want to spend time doing the schoolwork. I've already spent 6 hours doing it in class. But that would be something that will come in routines, that you have to have routines. So when he has the homework and rules, I guess you can say that. You can say, okay, so if you're not doing good in this concept, then guess what? We're going to go over it. We're going to spend an hour just going over it so that you understand it because I want you to succeed.
Okay.
So give them expectations that you have. You have to, they should know that my mom, each of your child, like for some children, for them to do getting a B is hard work. That doesn't make them dumb. That just means that they're not, they're not good at everything. Everybody's not good at everything. I was always a B student. I was never an A student, but I worked hard to get those Bs, So the expectations are there for these kids. You have to tell them, okay, it's so easy for you to get this, but you know what? You need to get a little better. Challenge yourself so that you can be better at something that otherwise you're going to be okay with whatever life gives you.
I think that's where my problem is, that he's not, both either of them are not feeling challenged. They're just kind of like, I would say, breezing through. So they're taking it easy, and they're not trying. And it's frustrating for me because I don't want them to come back home from school and they're tired and say, okay, now you're done with this. You have to shower, especially during COVID. Come down, relax, eat. And then again, okay, well, tell me exactly what happened, or, what did you go over? It just becomes so military-esque. Like, when are we supposed to enjoy each other or have a conversation? And then now he's in 7th grade, so there's a lot of homework from different classes, more projects to do with people on FaceTime and stuff that they have to do together. And I see him working. So it's like finding that balance, it's becoming really hard. And then then I find myself getting really frustrated that, why haven't you talked to me? This is difficult for you. Why haven't you, or why can't we spend more time on this? And my middle one, it's like he knows the concept, but when I'm doing it with him, he acts like he doesn't know it. So I'm not sure if he's trying to get attention. So I'm just like, honestly, I'm like, like I said, dealing with different kids at different stages of life, and they're both not giving it their all. And I'm not
with
sure
the middle one, I'm thinking, okay, so if he's act like he doesn't know, but is he doing fine in school?
Yeah, he's doing fine, but I know he could do better. He's doing fine. I mean, he's like, alhamdulillah, they're, good grades, both of them. But when we're practicing and stuff, he's not applying himself. He could do better. Like you said, he's getting a B, for example, or a low A here and there, but he's not doing, because I know he knows the concept. I know he knows the stuff. So what happens?
I think you can, you can talk to him and say, okay, so what's going on? Why are we not being, you seem to understand this, but you're not applying yourself the way you should be. So what can
the middle one gets defensive? The middle one, like the 5th grader, fourth grader gets defensive, and he gets all upset. No, I'm trying. And I'm like, no, you're not, and the older one just says, I'm just too tired. I have too much on my plate and I want to hang out with my friends too. And I say, well, school first. Friends were your priority in the summer, and you wanted to make memories with your, hang out and be relaxed and not be in schoolwork a lot. But now your priorities should be back to what they used to be. And I think that even though summer ended a while ago, the transition has been harder. To get back into that.
They went back in person, right?
Yeah, and exactly. Not being in person for a year and a half. And I had a lot of anxiety sending them back to school. And I think that was definitely, they knew about it. I made my middle one stay home to see whether masks would get mandated. It was just, you get emails about COVID and whatnot. So I feel like that anxiety also probably, gets transferred to them a little bit. Because I'm always anxious when they come back. Okay, was anybody missing in class? What's going on? Were you clean? Was your mask? It's like all these 20 questions. So I
feel like, Shanila, you are talking to them. The communication is the biggest thing that you need to do with them. And you are telling them the expectation is there. Now, the only thing I see is, okay, what if they don't do what they're capable of doing, and it was honest, like they did it because they're really not putting that much effort into it. So what are the consequences for that? What do you do? I'm like, what happens to the kids?
I don't know. I have not been giving them consequences because I feel like I don't want them to hate it. I just want them to have that. I want them to have a personality where they are actually giving their all in life to whatever they're doing. I don't want them to be.
You have, yeah, the consequences don't have to be serious consequences. You know, but the thing, like for me, it was like, okay, if homework isn't done, guys, there isn't, like, you can't go out to play until this is done. So
Oh, yeah.
let's finish this and then you can do that. But
Yeah,
my
that
son,
is
like,
fair.
yeah, I'm gonna use my son as an example because when he was in school, the rule was there is no PlayStation for the whole week until Friday and Saturday are the only days you're gonna get to play video games.
Yeah.
So that was the rule. So the expectations were there, and the kids, like, I mean, if they know this is expected, eventually it clicks. Your kids, I mean, like the fourth grader, he's been hearing you say that since probably when he started school. So it will eventually get to the point where they will start doing what they're supposed to do. But you have to keep doing it. It's not going to happen right now. You know, you have to wait, because once they become that certain age, it clicks, and they will start, oh, okay, I got to do this. I have to do this. And until they feel like that ownership of where I want to do this, you have to be the mom and keep pushing them. I know that sounds a lot of energy draining, but that's just how it
I was
is.
hoping you'd give me a magic.
There is
sentence.
no magic pill. I wish I had it. I would be a millionaire by now.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
be the mom that you are, and they will. I mean, all of you, the way you guys were talking, I don't really think you needed to be in the parent talk, but it helps. It's a de-stressor too, where you're talking to each other and you're helping each other out. So, you know, you just need to continue doing what you guys are doing and be consistent. That's the key. Consistency is the key. The expectation should never change. If that's what you want your kid to do, okay. And each child has different expectations too. Sometimes we have to change things according to our child. So you have to, you know, keep that in mind too. All right. I think we're
Thank
done.
you.
Yeah. You're welcome. So thank you for attending, and I hope you guys got something out of it. And inshallah, for the next one, we'll post that, and then you'll know when the next one is.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It
You're
was a
welcome.
amazing
Assalamu
session.
alaikum.
Appreciate
Assalamu
it.
alaikum.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah. Thank you.
Jazakallah.
You're welcome.